Throughout my 13 years of experience working with patients, I've come across a prevalent misconception. Society has often painted masturbation as taboo, labeling it as impure and something that should have been abandoned by the age of 50. However, there's a crucial piece of information that's often left unsaid. As individuals reach their 60s, masturbation transitions from being just acceptable to potentially being a fundamental aspect that can impact life quality significantly. Over the years, I've had the privilege of assisting numerous individuals similar to your situation. I go by Dr. Lucas Grant, specializing in urology and men's health education at Baylor College of Medicine. I've witnessed firsthand the hidden repercussions of neglect, embarrassment, and misinformation. Many decent men have suffered not due to illnesses, but because of the lack of knowledge. The reality is, a large number of older men either engage in improper masturbation techniques or worse, completely cease the practice. They fail to comprehend that the manner, frequency, and mindset behind their actions can influence their hormonal balance, cardiovascular health, and cognitive functions. Engaging in this simple act incorrectly could potentially lead to issues such as erectile dysfunction, depression, and prostate complications. Conversely, when done correctly, it has the potential to enhance testosterone levels, promote better sleep, and maintain the vitality of your circulatory system. It's not merely about pleasure. It's about ensuring optimal bodily functions, restoring intimacy, and combating the aging process at its core within the nervous system. In a moment, I'll reveal 7 crucial insights on masturbation that every man over 60 ought to have learned ages ago. But before we delve into that, pause for a moment and reflect. If a single component of your daily routine held the key to improved health, mood, and vigor, wouldn't you be intrigued to discover it? Stick around because what I'm about to unveil might revolutionize how you approach the next decade of your life. Before we proceed, if you haven't already, consider subscribing and activating the notification bell. This way, you'll never miss out on valuable, evidence-based health tips tailored specifically for men in your life stage. If the content resonates with you, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your input guides me in creating content that genuinely benefits you. Now, let's dive in, commencing with the initial truth that many men only learn when it's already impacting them adversely. The habitual manner in which you've been masturbating for years, perhaps even decades, might appear familiar and harmless. However, beyond 60, what once felt like a routine can gradually turn against you without notice. This is where we confront the most commonly neglected error older men commit in self-pleasure. It's subtle, it's unspoken, and may ultimately incur more significant consequences than anticipated. The first secret unveils how mindless masturbation can lead to numbness and erectile dysfunction. Reflecting on my encounters with countless elderly patients throughout the years, I've observed a recurring theme. Many of them have entered my office with a sense of shame, gazing downward, their voices barely audible. And as our conversations progressed, venturing into honesty, I would cautiously inquire, "Do you engage in masturbation?" Almost invariably, a brief silence would ensue, followed by a confession. "Yet, however, I no longer experience much sensation." Or, "I struggle to reach climax unless I follow a specific routine." The thought that haunts me the most is how my body seems to have forgotten how to feel. What they were unaware of is that their rushed and mechanical methods of self-pleasure had trained their bodies in dysfunctional ways. The repercussions are subtle yet severe, gradually impacting one's sensitivity and erectile function. Mindless self-pleasuring isn't just a harmless habit, it's a loop of neurological conditioning. Each quick, intense session reinforces specific patterns in the brain, making it harder to respond to genuine intimacy. The consequences extend beyond physical issues to emotional struggles like shame and depression. Many men believe their bodies are faulty when, in reality, they are just overtrained in the wrong direction. This conditioning can lead to porn-induced erectile dysfunction or other sexual dysfunctions. These conditions quietly affect countless men, oftentimes without them even realizing the cause. But here's the stark reality. This detrimental pattern doesn't just affect your sexual performance, it erodes your self-esteem and relationships. Your disconnect from your body can lead to emotional numbness, isolation, and even mental decline. Reversing this harmful conditioning requires patience, awareness, and a new approach to self-pleasure that is slower and more conscious. Masturbation itself is not the enemy, but mindless indulgence can lead to unintended consequences. It's time to awaken to a new way of engaging with yourself, one that nurtures both your body and mind. By cultivating a mindful and connected relationship with yourself, you can reclaim your vitality and vitality. However, there is a secret that most men do not realize. Abstaining from ejaculation can pose just as much danger. This secret is often overlooked and even praised by society. In the upcoming revelation, I will explain why refraining from masturbation after the age of 60 may be silently harming your well-being over time. If you are still following along and these revelations are resonating with you, kindly type the number 1 in the comments to indicate your continued attention. Now, let us delve deeper into this crucial topic. Secret 2. Ejaculation helps in reducing prostate congestion and inflammation. I recall a man named David from a few years ago, age 68, who visited me due to frequent nighttime urination. He described feelings of pressure, fullness, and aching in his pelvis. When I inquired about his last ejaculation, he seemed surprised and admitted that he had abstained since his wife's passing, assuming it was normal for his age. This misconception prevails among many men, believing that sexual activity should cease at a certain age. However, I explained to David, as I will now to you, that the prostate continues to produce fluid even in the absence of ejaculation. If this fluid is not released, it accumulates, leading to congestion, inflammation, and potential health risks. The prostate is not designed to store fluid indefinitely, and failure to release it can result in swelling, discomfort, and urinary issues. Chronic inflammation in the prostate has been associated with an increased risk of prostate cancer. While not suggesting that abstaining causes cancer, it is evident that regular ejaculation can help mitigate the inflammatory environment that makes the prostate susceptible to diseases. A notable Harvard study involving 30,000 men revealed that those who ejaculated at least 21 times per month had a notably lower risk of prostate cancer. This data highlights the importance of maintaining a healthy prostate through regular ejaculation. Returning to David's story, once he comprehended the internal mechanisms at play, he began self-care practices, resulting in a notable improvement in his symptoms and overall well-being. His decision to address his condition through mindful ejaculation rather than isolation or neglect proved to be beneficial, leading to reduced discomfort and improved sleep quality. Furthermore, a spark reignited in his eyes, reconnecting him to a dormant part of himself. Neglecting this aspect does not just result in a few sleepless nights. It leads to chronic discomfort, unnecessary medication, potential surgeries, and an increased risk of cancer. Society's expectation that older men should disregard their prostate health is misguided. Ignoring this vital aspect of your well-being is equivalent to disregarding your heart or blood pressure. The emotional stigma attached to self-touch exacerbates physical symptoms, as revealed in the next secret. Understanding the link between repressed emotions and physical decline can alter your perspective on your body forever. The third secret exposes how shame surrounding self-touch harms mental health. Many older men carry an unspoken burden of shame and silence regarding their sexual habits. Their avoidance of discussing masturbation or dismissing it as a thing of the past speaks volumes. This ingrained shame towards self-pleasure stems from societal conditioning that labeled it as sinful or wrong. These early messages linger in the subconscious, influencing their relationship with their bodies. The consequence is a gradual withdrawal from physical touch and a perception of desire as inappropriate. Biological consequences arise from this emotional disconnect, as regular sexual touch, including masturbation, has proven benefits for mental well-being. Shame disrupts these benefits, tightening muscles, increasing stress hormones, and creating guilt cycles in the mind. It is crucial to recognize and address this shame to fully embrace the positive effects of sexual touch on mental health. Chronic stress, it's closely connected to anxiety, depression, heart disease, immune dysfunction, and even dementia. Once, I had a patient who was 72 years old, recently divorced, and deeply suffering from depression. Although he had no major health issues and wasn't taking any medications, he felt exhausted, numb, and isolated. He confided in me that he had not engaged in any sexual activity, whether with someone else or by himself, for over 10 years. "I thought that part of my life was over," he confessed, his words tinged with a sense of quiet sorrow. He wasn't mourning the loss of sex, but rather the loss of his sense of self. Together, we worked slowly, without resorting to pills or drastic changes, focusing on simple exercises to help him reconnect with his body without guilt or expectations. Gradually, I noticed a change in him. He started walking taller, sleeping better, laughing more. His blood pressure improved. He wasn't fixed. He was reawakened. The cost of shame is insidious, draining your vitality little by little. It convinces you that you're too old to feel alive, but that couldn't be further from the truth. You're never too old to treat yourself with kindness, dignity, and purpose to feel complete. And when hormonal decline exacerbates the situation, the consequences can be devastating. Most men are blindsided by the fact that testosterone levels don't just decline with age, but also when they neglect their sexual well-being. And this imbalance doesn't just affect libido, it impacts cognition, mobility, and overall quality of life. In the next part of our discussion, we will delve deeper into this topic. If you're following along and finding value in this information, please type the number 1 in the comments to show your engagement. Let's move on to the fourth insight, which may surprise you. Surprising insight number 4. Testosterone production is stimulated by sexual activity, whether alone or with a partner. I want to share with you a crucial piece of information that many men only realize when it's too late. It's something I wish every man over 60 could grasp without shame or hesitation. Testosterone, the hormone essential for energy, strength, confidence, and sexual desire, doesn't just diminish with age as commonly believed. Through my years of experience working with men like you, I've uncovered a vital truth. Testosterone levels also decline when you neglect to live like a man who desires to feel alive. When you suppress or ignore your sexual energy, your body interprets it as unnecessary and starts to diminish its masculinity on its own. It reallocates resources, redirects hormones, slows blood flow, and conserves energy. Your muscle tone weakens, your waistline expands, your sleep patterns deteriorate, and that spark that defined you begins to fade. It's not because you're old. It's because your body has stopped receiving signals that you're still present, vibrant, and desiring. A man named Frank, who was 73 years old and a retired firefighter, used to radiate strength and presence. However, when he first met me, he appeared slumped and tired, confessing that he hadn't felt like himself in years. "I'm just slowing down," he admitted. But upon reviewing his labs, I discovered that his testosterone levels were barely above clinical deficiency. When I inquired about his sexual activity, he simply shook his head and declared, "I don't see the point anymore." That mindset, I realized, posed a greater threat than his age. It wasn't about the number of years on the calendar, but rather the moment you cease to acknowledge your sexuality as an integral part of your being. I guided Frank through a process of re-engaging with himself, focusing on simple practices without any shame, emphasizing presence. In the following months, not only did his hormone levels improve, but his posture straightened, his voice gained authority, he resumed weightlifting, and his eyes sparkled with enthusiasm when discussing his progress. The body responds to where your focus lies. Neglecting your sexual self causes testosterone levels to plummet, while reawakening it through intentional self-touch signals to your brain that it's still a vital aspect of your life worth nurturing. Numerous studies have demonstrated the immediate positive impact of sexual stimulation on testosterone levels, illustrating how erotic thoughts, physical intimacy, and anticipation can significantly affect hormone regulation, mood, and drive. Your body craves pleasure, connection, and presence. Denying it slowly leads to a decline in vitality. The consequences of low testosterone extend beyond fatigue and sexual issues to potentially life-threatening conditions like heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, and depression, ultimately shortening lifespan. It's more than just a numerical value. It reflects your engagement with life itself. Regrettably, many men are unaware of how disconnected they've become from their true selves until the journey back seems insurmountable. The path to rediscovery does not begin with medications or surgeries, but with reclaiming your bodily connection on your own terms in a guilt-free space. It's about affirming to your biology that you're still an active participant in life's adventures. And if you find this revelation surprising, brace yourself for what comes next, because there's a crucial aspect beyond testosterone that most men unknowingly jeopardize with every improper touch. The importance of blood flow, nerve health, cardiovascular integrity, and longevity cannot be overstated. I recall a specific patient, Harold, who was 69 years old, a man with a strong history and intelligence. Sadly, he had experienced a period of 5 to 6 years without having a single erection. It wasn't due to inability, but rather a belief that there was no purpose. His wife had passed away, and he wasn't pursuing new relationships, assuming that chapter of his life had closed. However, unbeknownst to him, his body was not simply waiting idly by for his return. It was gradually shutting down crucial functions. One critical aspect often overlooked by men is that the penis operates like any other muscle or blood vessel in the body. Without regular use, tissues lose elasticity, blood vessels harden, oxygen flow diminishes, and fibrosis sets in, leading to decreased responsiveness over time. The repercussions are substantial when the regularity of erections diminishes. The smooth muscle in the penis begins to atrophy, the network of blood vessels responsible for engorgement becomes less effective, and levels of nitric oxide decrease, all contributing to further complications. A crucial aspect that often goes unmentioned is that this deterioration occurs regardless of whether one is sexually active. The body interprets the lack of regular arousal and engorgement as a signal of irrelevance, leading to not only physical but also psychological harm over time. This decline can result in decreased confidence, self-worth, and a loss of identity, triggering withdrawal, depression, and cognitive decline. Preventing these consequences necessitates reminding the body of its importance and necessity, engaging in regular erections through self-stimulation or non-sexual arousal. It is about more than just pleasure. It is about maintaining physical health and asserting one's identity. It is a message to the body that you are still present, connected, and alive. Despite societal pressures to remain silent about such matters as age advances, maintaining erectile function is vital to overall well-being. Silence may seem easy, but it carries a significant cost, and the body keeps track of this neglect. If you are questioning the significance of erections, consider what behaviors may be hindering your natural ability to achieve and sustain them. And this brings us to a more insidious issue then. Being idle, a modern dependency that many older gentlemen fail to acknowledge until it has rewired their minds. Let's delve into how pornography, even the seemingly harmless variety, can covertly steal away your sensitivity, arousal, and happiness. Unveiling secret number 6: porn alters your brain, but there's a way to regain control. I want to shed light on a topic often kept in the shadows, particularly among older men: pornography. I understand just mentioning the word might make some of you uneasy, perhaps prompting you to avert your gaze. But if you're still following along, I urge you to listen with an open mind and heart, for what I'm about to reveal could potentially revolutionize your perspective on your mental well-being, physical health, and masculinity. I've had gentlemen in their 60s and 70s confess to me that they still indulge in pornography, not because they are fixated, but because it provides them with a semblance of sensation. Many of them lead solitary lives. Some are divorced. Others are widowed. They are not in pursuit of thrills. They seek connection, or at least the memory of it. However, what most fail to comprehend is that the current landscape of pornography is vastly different from what they encountered in their youth. What was once static images or subtle visual cues has morphed into a deluge of high-speed, highly stimulating, instantly gratifying content. The human brain, particularly one that is aging, is ill-equipped to process such excessive input without repercussions. Each time you engage with pornography, particularly the more extreme or fast-paced varieties, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with motivation, reward, and pleasure. But with repeated exposure, your brain becomes desensitized to natural stimuli. It becomes increasingly challenging to feel aroused by simple real-world interactions. You find yourself craving heightened intensity and novelty just to feel any semblance of pleasure. This isn't merely about preference. It's about the intricate workings of neurochemistry. It's about your neural pathways being altered through repetition. When your brain becomes accustomed to artificial, exaggerated stimuli, your body follows suit. Erections become less responsive. Achieving orgasm becomes more arduous. Some men even experience porn-induced erectile dysfunction, where they can only perform with pornography and struggle to do so with a real partner or during solitary moments without it. The repercussions extend far beyond the bedroom. I've witnessed men spiral into a vortex of shame, anxiety, and frustration. They internalize the belief that they are irreparably flawed. They begin to retract from social interactions. They surrender to a sense of defeat. Tragically, many fail to connect the dots, oblivious to the fact that the very outlet they sought for solace was slowly sapping their vitality. However, I implore every man listening to recognize this: the situation is not irreversible. You are not beyond repair. Your brain, even in your senior years, possesses the ability to recuperate, to recalibrate, to rediscover authentic, grounded sensations of arousal. The journey to healing starts by stepping away from artificial highs and rejoining reality. Your body needs to reconnect with the present moment, sensation, imagination, and even silence. Some men opt for a 30-day break from visual stimuli, while others prefer a gradual transition. The important thing is to start rebuilding your nervous system's relationship with pleasure on your own terms. The objective isn't to give up pleasure, but to reclaim it and make it your own once more. If porn has desensitized you, the next revelation may hit even harder. While digital content can hijack your brain, isolation can take a toll on your spirit. The ultimate truth I will reveal is crucial. It's not about techniques or chemistry, but about the consequences of a man no longer experiencing touch at all. The most perilous blunder, Secret 7, is isolation. Among the risks that older men face, isolation is the most hazardous, surpassing declining testosterone levels, pornography, and physical symptoms. This isolation isn't just about living alone. It goes deeper, encompassing a silence where touch is absent, self-connection is lost, and the body is disconnected by societal expectations. I recall a man named Peter, age 76, who hadn't felt physical touch in over a year. Peter's voice was empty when discussing his daily life, revealing a sense of resignation. But touch is not a luxury. It's a fundamental biological necessity, even into older age. When deprived of physical contact, the body's systems begin to falter, leading to decreased oxytocin levels, rising stress hormones, and a decline in overall well-being. Emotional and sensory shutdown occurs as a protective mechanism, leaving individuals numb both physically and emotionally. The loss of aliveness becomes apparent as the desire to engage with the world diminishes gradually. Isolation often originates in the bedroom when a man stops touching himself, causing his brain to interpret it as emotional withdrawal rather than self-care. Over time, the act of withdrawing from touch can become a vicious cycle. He finds himself avoiding physical contact, numbing his sensations, and ultimately convincing himself that there is no need to feel anything. The true cost is not just a lack of arousal or diminished desire. It is the gradual loss of one's sense of self, purpose, and emotional acuity. This erosion quietly extinguishes the connections that sustain us. The consequences of this isolation are severe, with links to depression, heart disease, and premature mortality. It's not a matter of aging, but rather a result of self-abandonment. Let me emphasize that this is not about blame. Life circumstances, loss, and distance are inevitable. However, resigning oneself to this fate is not necessary. Touching oneself, whether sexually or not, is a declaration of ownership over one's body. It signals to your brain, heart, and nervous system that you are still present and deserving of care and attention. Men have rediscovered vitality by granting themselves permission to reconnect, to break the silence, to reawaken their dormant senses. Their transformation is evident in their posture, in the resurgence of their voices, and the rekindling of their inner spark. If you are resonating with these words, the next steps are crucial. I will guide you through a practical, potent daily routine that will rewire your body, revive your sensitivity, and reclaim what time and neglect have taken away. Conclusion. As you've journeyed through this discourse, I wish to address you not just as a physician, but as someone who has shared intimate moments with countless men, listening to their deepest vulnerabilities and aspirations. Our discussion transcends mere discussion about masturbation. It delves into a profound exploration of your relationship with your body, your personal narrative, and your willingness to defy societal norms that dictate your worth. We began by uncovering the negative impact of mindless self-pleasure, how rushing through intimate moments can reprogram your mind and dull your responsiveness. Avoiding ejaculation altogether, we discussed, can lead to physical ailments such as prostate issues and even cancer risks. Your body craves movement. Stagnation leads to systemic breakdowns. The insidious nature of shame was also unpacked, revealing how many men carried burdens of guilt imposed by external influences. Shedding this weight is pivotal for a healthy, enriching connection with your body. It's time to rewrite the narrative and embrace a holistic approach to your well-being. Exploring the decline in testosterone levels linked not just with aging but also with disengagement from one's sexual self is crucial. Delving into how simple acts of self-touch can potentially reverse this trend is enlightening. Understanding that an erection signifies more than just sexual function, but also indicates vascular health, is vital. Realizing that neglecting this aspect has consequences beyond the bedroom, affecting confidence, motivation, and even memory, is eye-opening. Opening up discussions about pornography without judgment, but focusing on how it impacts brain chemistry, is essential in understanding its effects. Recognizing that what initially aroused excitement can eventually desensitize one to reality is a profound realization. Emphasizing the detrimental effects of isolation on physical and emotional well-being is a critical point. It's important to remember that despite challenges, the body craves connection and responsiveness. Acknowledging that the desire for connection still exists within oneself is empowering. Embracing the journey back to self-discovery doesn't necessitate external validation. It commences with a personal choice. Choosing to break free from self-limiting beliefs and societal expectations is liberating. Refusing to accept the false notion that aging diminishes one's worth and visibility is empowering. Recognizing one's presence and significance in the world is vital. Encouraging patients to re-engage not through medication or self-blame, but through mindfulness and presence, is a holistic approach. Introducing a daily practice, known as the Golden Protocol, involving self-connection through touch, breath, and awareness, is transformative. Making space for quiet, deliberate moments of self-reconnection without expectations leads to profound shifts. Incorporating this practice into daily routines can be a catalyst for change. When approached with gentleness and curiosity, self-touch can ignite a renewed sense of vitality and vigor. Reclaiming one's sexuality is synonymous with reclaiming one's identity. The journey of self-discovery and renewal begins within oneself.